DETV Sports Update is powered by DART, Delaware's transit service. Moving forward.
We are back here on a Monday following week one of the NFL season. A lot to get into here on a Monday night before Monday Night Football. Welcome, Delaware, to DETV Sports. Nick Alessandrini, as always, alongside the crew here, Jason McCall and Matthew Maurer. We're here to talk a little week one NFL reaction. Dennis, as always, back behind the glass here at DETV in Wilmington. We're also going to talk a little USA basketball, coming off a little bump in the road for them there at the FIBA World Cup. And then again, we'll get right into Monday Night Football and start previewing a big one tonight between the new look, very hyped up New York Jets and the Buffalo Bills. You know, we were also very divided in that AFC East, so that's going to be a fun conversation here. But we're going to start, of course, as always, today being September 11th. Just want to remember all those that lost their lives back in 2001 and all those families affected by such a tragedy that day. So our thoughts and prayers with everyone there, especially with the city of New York, who, again, that Jets will be in action tonight. So a lot going to be in the air there for that one. So an emotional one tonight for the New York Jets and a big football game against the Buffalo Bills. But guys, let's dive in now. Here we are, back into our regular schedule. We're here to talk some football, a little basketball. Jason, how you feeling? Another big travel week, straight from the Glizzy factory, heading in here today to the show.
We're not doing that today. Not doing that today. See, I haven't eaten any food all day, and I gotta hear you guys' jokes. It's all right.
Hey, look, I'm not gonna lie, the studio smells amazing right now. Coming in here, it was a good move. So we thank you for doing it. But yeah, glad to have you back. Another travel weekend for you.
It was all right. No, good travel weekend. Enjoyed some time at the shore, you know. And hit a nice little college football parlay this weekend. Thank you, Ole Miss, for covering that eight-point spread in the last minute and a half of that game there.
That's big time.
Thank you, Coach Prime. Right with you guys.
Easy money, right?
Easy
Coach
money
Prime,
all the way. But no, a great weekend for football. Shout out to Texas, Hook'em Horns, you know,
Yes.
in Tuscaloosa. You know, that was
a big win, man.
That was a big win. They're for real. And this is with Ewers at quarterback, who was the highest rated high school quarterback ever in the rankings. Like, come out of high school, he's like 1,000% ranking coming out of high school ever. Like, so to see him do that against Alabama in Tuscaloosa says a lot. And Milroe may not be that guy. He's throwing some ducks out there.
Nick Saban says they're going to rebound. We'll find out.
But they will. I mean, it's Alabama, but it was just that was a great game to see the atmosphere. Just NFL season week one, you know, season's greetings, everybody. You know,
right, here we go.
It happened, it's here, and go Ravens. That's it.
And we're going to touch on all those teams here in a little bit for different reasons. A couple of our teams looking pretty good. A couple others looking a little, okay. Matt, your team looks really good. We'll dive into them here a little bit. But coming off, how'd your fantasy weekend go in week one? Niners look good, as I just mentioned. How you feeling on a Monday?
Doing well, man. I'm undefeated in fantasy right now.
Ooh, I mean,
Both leagues.
There you go, 2-0.
2-0, man. So doing well. I had some good pickups. Shout out to the 49ers, McCaffrey and Ayuk, who I had on one team.
Man,
put me up some good points there.
Heard of your quarterback too?
No, I ain't go that crazy. But
not too much fandom. Man.
Yeah. But no, it was just a great weekend. Just soaking it up and enjoying this first week of football. So.
Well, it's going to be a fun one here tonight between the Bills and the Jets. We'll get that later on as we close out the show. But let's dive in quickly just for the moment to talk a little bit about USA basketball. Matt, that's where I wanted to start today. Last time we were all here together, everything was looking pretty good, right? They had that one little bump in the road, but the championship, the goal, and all that was still in play. No longer the case, Matt. They dropped the last two games. First one to Germany, which, a little eye-opening and, always surprising there, but Germany got the win. And then the bronze medal match going down to Canada, but again, one of the talented teams in this World Cup, if you will, but still not a team that maybe should have beaten the United States. How do you feel about their performance the last two games? And the rumors now that LeBron's already looking forward to next summer and starting to recruit some guys for the Olympics. Just your thoughts on both of those things here.
I mean, I'm not shocked. Unfortunately, I didn't think they'd lose this much. I'd be lying if I said I thought they'd lose 3 games. But I did struggle with how the team was made up. Obviously, they chose to go with younger guys who they wanted to season in international play. And honestly, the thing I'm most disappointed about is not really even the losing, but more so the defense. defense was so inconsistent the whole time. You've got quality NBA players there, Mikal Bridges, Jaren Jackson. These are guys, Anthony Edwards. These are guys that are known to be able to play really good defense, and they were very inconsistent. It seemed like when the shots weren't dropping from them from the outside on the three-point line, they pretty much were a miss offensively. And you know, I guess the biggest frustration I have is that the NBA, I feel, kind of caused this, what we're seeing, because they wanted this international open play, and they've made their product in a way where the game is more open, players move more freely, and then in Europe, they play the game like we used to in the 90s, where it's a lot more tight, less space on the floor, lanes are clogged up a little bit more, it's more physical defensively, and we're getting beat at our own game, and that's part of the issue. And then as far as LeBron recruiting people, I don't mind that LeBron's doing that. I think LeBron, this is one of the things that I think people like about LeBron and don't like, is that he is a super, and I would say almost obsessive opportunist, and that he looks for the smallest ways to try to raise his profile. I mean, he's going to be 40 when the Olympics come out. Yeah, look, I'm not saying he's not still one of those guys, but it's like, is this a resume thing for you, or is this like, are you really angry that we got beat? Yeah, I don't know. Who knows? I just think we got to make a lot of changes. The NBA has to make changes to how they play this game, or we're going to see more of this in the future. Unfortunately.
Well, Jason, they dropped the last two. How do you feel about what's happening?
I'm pissed. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't. And to echo Matt's point, the defense was the biggest glaring hole during the entire tournament there. And for one, Jaren Jackson's not a 5. He's playing out of position the entire tournament. And he's more of a help defender than he is a one-on-one defender. And you look at the Memphis Grizzlies, he's the 4 and Steven Adams is the 5. And now you see why that's the case. He's not a 5 at all. And I think his play was the most inconsistent out of Team USA, in my opinion. I would say maybe tied with Jalen Brunson, honestly.
He was a little erratic.
I didn't like the fit, if you will. I think Halliburton should have been the starter from the outset for that team. And the misuse of Walker Kessler, especially in the Germany game, where they had big bodies, and in the actually against what was it, Lithuania or Latvia?
When they lost the first time.
Lithuania, like, they had all big dudes. I mean, and they were just out-rebounding the U.S., which doesn't really ever happen. And you had Ant-Man playing hero ball. I mean, he put up points, but he was still playing hero ball, and some of the sets looked a little rusty, a little off. But truth be told, I'm going to say this. I think this is a bigger indication on Steve Kerr. He's not that guy as a coach. I mean, he's the coach, 3 future Hall of Famers, when you have Steph, Clay, and Dre. But when the Warriors didn't have them on the court, you saw what their records were. He doesn't have Steph, Clay, and Dre. He has okay talent. He's not the guy to put them over the top. He's not the greatest X and O's coach. You would never hear anybody say he's great at X and O's. And I don't think that they really bought into his system all the way. And it showed.
And let me ask you this here, Jason, and again, both you guys, Tar Heel guys, right? So do you think Coach K is a better coach for Team USA than Steve Kerr?
I think Tyronn Lue's a better coach for Team USA than Steve Kerr. He knows how to.
But right now, what about Coach K? Like, would you take Coach K over both those guys? Or?
I mean,
like, do you wish? I guess I'm saying hypothetically, do you wish he was still there?
I would be a liar if I didn't say Coach K couldn't coach any team, and who wouldn't take Coach K back at any point in time? However, like I said, I think Steve Kerr is a solid coach, but I don't think he's like the guy as he's been built out to be. I mean, he's had Steph, Clay, and Draymond his entire coaching career as a head coach, and the record shows when they're on the court, that's what they do. But when he doesn't have them, I mean, it's like average and below average record. So, but I think again for Team USA, also to Matt's point, not to take too much time, but 30 years ago, we would have laughed at each other had we said the FIBA is more physical than the NBA. International play is more physical than the NBA game. Think about it. The reason why they're excelling at our sport, if you will, Everyone knows what happened in '92. Everyone knows what happened in '94 in Toronto in the World Cup with Dream Team 2. The international teams and countries adapted to that style, and they ran with it. And now they're the more physical people even coming to the NBA now, where we went to finesse, they went to brute strength because that's what we showed them 30 years ago. And now it's flipped. So I think USA basketball can recover. However, there has to be a mandate for the stars to play. I don't need the fringe people. We had a lot of fringe people. Like Austin Reeves, who I talked about ad nauseum with the hype, was ridiculous. He wasn't even a top 3 player on his team.
And man, you look at some other guys, and obviously Cam
Johnson,
Johnson, Bobby Portis, who we like here on the show, but I don't know if he should be a member of the United States team right now. I think Walter Kessler's a great player, but a rookie coming off a rookie season. Josh Hart, a pretty good role player in the NBA.
He's a role player.
Yeah, exactly right. And again, Miguel Bridges is leading them in rebounds in the game against
Canada. He's a role player until the last
well.
4 months of last season. So it's not like the only real superstar on the team was Anthony Edwards.
Yeah. And again, you look at some of these scores, too, the guys they're going against for a lot of these countries, they were giving it to the United States. Dennis Schroeder, 28 in the game against Germany. Franz Wagner looks really good against the United States. And then you look at Canada, and you take a look at the guy that we hate on a lot here on the show, Dylan Brooks gave him work. He gave him 40.
Listen, but that move SGA put on him at the end of the game.
But we all know what to expect.
The ankle breaker, gee, it reminded me of Kemba Walker versus Syracuse in the tournament. The slide.
Yeah. And again, a lot of people, this is World Cup, so take it as it is, but RJ Barrett looking pretty good for Canada here in the World Cup. Is he going to, quickly here, I'm not, we don't think too much of RJ Barrett, but what do you think? Maybe you take a step next
I ain't going.
Yeah, we're not going to have time for that today.
Maple Jordan?
Yeah, the Maple Mamba.
Maple Mamba?
Oh, man, we're going to keep it moving. USA, though, has to figure something out. Maybe LeBron will get some bodies and see what they do next year.
It's in Paris next year, and if LeBron gets them together, Alexa, play Kanye West and Jay-Z, Ninjas in Paris. That's what it'll be like all day long right there.
Man, we're looking forward to that one. Let's keep it moving here. Now it's time to dive in to the NFL, guys. Week number 1 in the books. Let's just dive right in. We got a lot of matchups to quickly analyze from what happened yesterday before we get into Monday Night Football. And let's start with Matt's San Francisco 49ers, the top box score I'm going to look at here first. This one coming in was maybe one of the biggest hype games in week 1. That line opened up around 4.5, 5, was bet all the way down to 2 points before kickoff. Steelers got a lot of offseason hype, not as maybe a Super Bowl contender, but a team that was going to take that next step and look a lot better. Didn't start that way there on Sunday. It was over quickly. Niners laid it on them early. Brock Purdy, UCL surgery, had that almost Tommy John in the offseason. A great rookie year, but the big question, as always, is can he do it again? The second year, is he going to be the same guy we saw in that offense? And I think he answered the question. 19 of 29, 220, 2 touchdowns. Didn't turn the ball over, 112 quarterback rating. I thought Purdy was great. Offensive line was a little questionable coming in. I thought they held up great against the Steelers defense. It has one of the best defensive lines in the NFL. McCaffrey, 22 carries for $150 and a score. He was fantastic, and Purdy was dishing that ball all over the place. I mean, the Niners just laid it on him.
I mean, Ayuk is their true number 1. I think, Matt, you might agree with that, with me on that statement. I think Ayuk is the real number 1. I think he runs the entire route tree just a bit better than Debo, and he has a bit more speed than Debo. And the fact that Kittle was healthy and played on Sunday, that was a big plus for them. But for me, it was run CMC. 22, $150 touchdown.
Made it look easy.
And Brock Purdy, all he do is play mistake-free football. It's the system. People talk about Jimmy G and talk about Purdy, but you can put anybody in that system. As long as they play mistake-free football, run the ball, and have a solid defense behind them, you can put anybody back there and get 10 11 games.
Yeah, I agree with you there, too. But I'm telling you, Purdy made some good throws in that game yesterday.
The fact that I think Purdy looked the best out of all the quarterbacks I saw this weekend, only because of what he had to overcome to get back on the field. So he's been throwing like all year long. So it's like, he didn't have time for rust, if you will. A lot of quarterbacks looked rusty this weekend. And he looked like he was in mid-season form once he took over the starting job. So it looked a good win for the 49ers.
And again, Matt, that defense as advertised, right? They make the big signing with Nick Bosa on Wednesday, $127.5 million guaranteed on a 5-year, $170 million contract, the highest paid defensive player of all time now. And again, that defensive line, they add Javon Hargrave. Fred Warner was just killing people at linebacker. I mean, the defense looks as good, if not better, against a team that was supposed to take a leap offensively. Offensive line was improved. Kenny Pickett, 5 for 5 in the preseason on drives per touchdowns. Didn't matter. 49ers defense was spectacular.
Defense was spectacular, and I think it kind of set the tone. And then when you had Purdy playing mistake-free, CMC, and then Ayuk, and I know people might be losing their mind about what Jason said, but Ayuk is the true number one at the wideout position. Samuel is the better football player, if that makes sense. But Ayuk, they clearly trust him at this point now. There was a couple years where
he was in the doghouse.
Shanahan was in the doghouse with Shanahan. I think Shanahan knows he has to get Ayuk involved in order for them to really take off. I'm going to say this, and I'm not trying to cause alarm bells, but Kenny Pickett looks a little scared to me. There's some plays in that game where it's like,
easy plays and just overthrew people.
Yeah, he missed some open guys for sure.
And I'll say this too, and just to give context what I'm saying, George Pickens had a play where he had to make a spectacular spin where all Pickett had to do was throw the ball in a certain position and by his body, he would have had a touchdown. But Pickens literally had to move the cornerback with one hand, spin, and then catch the ball, but he went out of bounds.
Yeah.
It's Pickett has to do better at that because Pickens is going to go wasted with all that talent he's got.
Yeah, and I'm with you. And again, the offensive line for Pittsburgh was supposed to be improved. Still okay, probably maybe average, you would hope. And again, Niners defensive line, one of the best, and they showed it. He had no time to throw. I don't think, again, I'm with you though, Pickett had to look better, did not look good regardless of how much time he had to throw. Najee Harris in that run game could not get anything. Abysmal yesterday. Couldn't get anything going, so we're going to move on because we got a lot to get to. But Steelers didn't look that great. Niners, I think, picked up where they left off.
Thank you, Niners. Appreciate you. That's all. Sincerely, all the fans in the AFC North.
And we'll get to more of those teams shortly. Let's jump into the Panthers and Falcons here quickly. A division matchup here in the NFC South. Two guys making almost, you would say, their first real starts in Bryce Young, the number one pick out of Alabama. Desmond Ridder, first year as a full starter in that Arthur Smith system, a draft pick last year from the Atlanta Falcons. I had the Falcons going from worst to first in the division this year. They get a 24-10 win yesterday. But the big news to me, Jason, was Bryce Young, first game as a rookie quarterback. Didn't look all that impressive, but again, first start for the young quarterback from Alabama. Frank Reich's first game there as well. Panthers couldn't really get much going. I think the Falcons kind of controlled this one throughout.
Bryce Young really didn't look, I'm a different on that. He didn't look as bad as people said he did. This game was actually competitive until the last 8 minutes of the fourth quarter. It was 10-10 for most of the game. So it was a very competitive game. But the Falcons rather pulled away in the fourth quarter, to be honest. Algier, was the difference in the game. Your boy didn't do much. 2 receptions, 44 yards. That would be Gator Trump himself, Kyle Pitts.
Let me stop you there for a second. They got, just to harp, I'm sure somebody's going to bring it up. Desmond Ridder looked really bad yesterday. He thought Marcus Mariota was bad last year, and he can't get worse than Marcus Mariota. Ridder was pretty bad yesterday. And again, you have Drake London and Kyle Pitts as weapons. You're right, it looks bad on them too. For him to get 42 yards, what did you say, 44? Yeah. I think that's impressive with what Desmond Ridder put on tape yesterday. But continue.
No, I do think that the Falcons are better than what they were last year.
Yeah,
I'm not going to harp on one game. 1-0, not going to harp on it too much.
At home against a rookie quarterback.
But again, that goes to what I said last week about the Panthers having a better squad than people think. That was a very competitive game, and they're going to be in some games. They might lose quite a few, but you're not going to beat them by 30 every week. They're going to be in a lot of games competitively, although it should still be Steve Wilkes' job.
We could talk about that for a while, too. But, Matt, the thing that stood out, offensive line improved for Carolina. Really good offensive line on the other side in Atlanta. Bryce Young doesn't have a lot of weapons. That's kind of what I got from that game. Hayden Hurst led them in receiving. 7 targets, 5 catches, 40 yards, and a touchdown. Miles Sanders was second on the team in receiving. They need a weapon. They add Adam Thielen. I thought maybe he would give him something. He was banged up all week. He's getting old. I was going to say, how old is he now?
Yeah.
That's what stood out to me was they need to get get Bryce Young a weapon. And I know rookie quarterbacks, teams don't do that right away sometimes. So maybe next year, like Justin Fields adds DJ Moore, Jalen Hurts got A.J. Brown. I know it's really early, but he doesn't have a lot to work with.
No, he doesn't have much to work with at all. And I echo Jason's sentiments. I think if you watch the game, Bryce Young looked pretty good.
Yeah, first drive
in some spots. Definitely a lot of promise, a lot of flashes there. He didn't look like a deer in headlights. He just looked like he was struggling. And just first game. I was really impressed with Bijan Robinson. I mean, he made some really spectacular moves. And you had Algier, vulture those couple touchdowns, but like. And
let me ask you that for a second, just to stop you. And you're obviously a big fantasy player too.
Yeah.
Does that scare you at all as a Bijan? If you're a Bijan Robinson owner, I mean, his efficiency was through the roof. He got 6 catches. He turned that into a touchdown, 20 yards. Did get 10 rushes, but Algier outcarried him 15-10. You think that's going to improve as the season goes on?
I think it'll improve as the series go on, and I think as the season goes on, I think the thing that scares you about Bijan is Bijan could be that guy who does all the work. And then he gets to that 20-yard line, and then Algier comes in, like we saw with the Detroit Lions last year with Jamal Williams.
Yeah, oh my God, like 20 touchdowns.
Crazy touchdowns on literally, just 2-yard runs. So, like, that could definitely happen. And let me just say this, and again, I agree with you with Desmond Ridder. I think he played bad. I think, look, they didn't want to test him at all. It was clear that the Falcons did not trust his arm.
Because you look at the stats, they're not bad stats.
They're not bad stats on again, if this is one of these things that if you look at the piece of paper, he comes out much better. But I'll say this, man. This team, the way they've wasted Kyle Pitts is crazy.
And
almost
I think Drake
criminal.
London's really talented, too. I loved him out of USC. I know we talked about him.
Drake London is uber talented. I mean, they've got talent there.
They
At
really
some
do.
point,
A good offensive line, too.
this is Pitt's 3rd year, man. They've got to figure it out. And they've got to
agree.
get some talent in there because if not, these guys are going to sign in free agency deals somewhere else, and then people are going to say, man, they were on the same team together.
Why would pass catchers ever want to go play for Arthur Smith? I mean, he runs the ball 70% of the time. He doesn't figure out ways to get the ball down the field. Not saying it doesn't work what he does. I mean, he looked good against an okay to bad Panthers team. What do you think about the situation with Arthur Smith in that offense with Desmond Ridder?
It's horrible. I mean,
and he had 112 quarterback rating, and we're all sitting up here saying he's horrible, but that
because it doesn't pass the eye test.
Agreed. Yeah, I'm with you.
And when you have Drake London and Kyle Pitts, you have Bijan, you should put up some points. But also note, Patterson didn't play.
That's true. Yeah, he was injured.
So
that's right.
He's actually the lifeblood of that entire offense, maybe the entire team at this point.
Yeah.
So they kind of missed that morale and they kind of missed that on-field leadership, if you will. So, but they still won the game, so let's give them credit for that. Yeah. And keep on going for week 2.
Yeah, let's see what they do. Again, Falcon, I know we had a discussion up here, Saints-Falcons, kind of the teams we were looking at to win that division. But with them get wins, we'll talk about New Orleans here shortly. Let's jump into one of maybe the biggest, you don't want to say surprises, so we talked about it here on the show last week. Joe Burrow struggles against the Cleveland Browns. And again, 1-5 coming in to yesterday's matchup. Make it 1-6 for Joe Burrow against Cleveland. So we're used to talking about Burrow and his success. Well, there's one team that he can't beat. It's the Browns. Defense for them looked elite yesterday, shutting down Cincinnati at home in Cleveland, 24-3 in that victory. Jason, that Cincinnati offense with 2 of maybe the best wide receiver duo, I have them ranked 2nd, in the league, they looked just stagnant yesterday. Couldn't get anything going. Couldn't find the end zone.
I said this last week that this was going to happen to
Brown. Yeah, you had the Browns
to the Bengals, and because of the Cleveland defense, they did everything I thought they were going to do, and Deshaun Watson did just enough.
Just enough.
Yesterday. But you knew it was bad for the Bengals when Myles Garrett is doing imaginary crossover moves before sacking Joe Burrow on the field.
Again, improved. I mean, they've been improved on offensive line every year since that Super Bowl where he got crushed. They had Orlando Brown this year, all-pro tackle, and Myles Garrett still able to get to him yesterday.
Baby Zeus, we know who he is. His dad played for the Ravens, and he played with the Ravens as well, Orlando Brown. But he is privy to giving up sacks. There's a reason why he wasn't resigned to Baltimore, why he had to go to Kansas City in the first place. That's a weakness of his. He gets beat off the bull rush quite often. and it happened.
It showed yesterday.
It showed yesterday.
And Matt, you look now long-term here for the season outlook, guys, for the Cincinnati Bengals. A lot of people are panicking, right? But, I mean, it's one game. We know Joe Burrow struggles. Didn't get any practice in training camp all year. Had that calf injury. Struggles against the Browns anyway in Week 1. Season outlook, does that change your thought on Cincinnati at all going forward?
Well, I said they weren't going to be anyway, so that's changing my outlook. It's changing.
I'm not worried about this if I'm a Cincinnati fan.
I'm worried because of the fact, like you said, Burrow really hasn't had any on-field experience, any game tape really from preseason to now, and he looks hurt. And we know that Joe Burrow doesn't play hurt. He's not one of those quarterbacks that can pull it out and play hurt. He's not that guy.
Yeah, so we'll see. Maybe, hopefully, again, didn't look that great yesterday. Could have maybe still be hurt a little bit. Hopefully that'll get better as the season goes on. You worried at all about the Bengals after that 3-point performance against Cleveland?
I'm not worried about the Bengals, but I think the Bengals, I think they're worried more than they probably let people know. And me and Jason talked about this last week. This was huge for Watson to get this W in that state. He's got Burrow now. And when you have that kind of a situation and you got a guy that's trying to get back to that old form, this is huge for his ego. This is huge for the team, his teammates to say, like, yeah, we believe in him. Like, it's a different dynamic over there. And like Jason said, when you have the defense over there, playing basketball games before, taking a sack, I just think that speaks to kind of mindset. It kind of reminds me of the mindset that Cincinnati had last year when they were playing the Kansas City Chiefs, where like they had this ego and they were like, we can beat you. I think the Browns have the kind of talent that if it starts to have that ego go through the whole entire locker room, you could have a serious situation for that division.
And again, it's going to be tough going forward. Bengals offensively came out yesterday. Obviously, them and T. Higgins trying to come to that contract extension, but the Bengals have so much money tied up in so many people already. They put those negotiations to the side. Yesterday, T. Higgins didn't have a catch in that game yesterday. We'll see if the contract talks affects his play at all.
Come on.
I don't know if he's going to be back there next year. It's going to be
be
interesting. He might not be. So something to pay attention there. And it happened with his performance yesterday. It showed as if he was going through a contract negotiation. So didn't have a catch yesterday in that game, which is very interesting there for T. Higgins. Let's now head over to the AFC South. The Jacksonville Jaguars, defending division champs, and the Colts were in a battle for most of that game yesterday. Anthony Richardson, I thought, looked the most impressive out of the rookie quarterbacks that we saw. He looked the most poised. I thought he performed the best, again, in a game that I thought he would struggle against a tough Jacksonville Jaguars defense. I thought it would take him some time, only 10 starts in college. But, guys, I thought he looked pretty good. They lose the game to the Jags 31-21. Richardson throws a touchdown, runs in a touchdown. I thought, though, the storyline was Calvin Ridley, Jason. I thought he looked absolutely stunning. 2 years off of football, picked up right where he left off.
I mean, I hate to say I'm right, but I'm right again. Calvin Ridley was Calvin Ridley, and the dynamic he adds to that offense is going to be scary. Jaguars started a little slow, but once they got their rhythm going, late second quarter going to the third, it was pretty much like a well-oiled machine. And for me, outside of Ridley, it was really Travis Etienne showing up. And there was a play that showed me how much they believe in Ridley. They were really caught like a bubble screen or something. And Etienne was 10 yards behind Ridley, and he ran 10 yards in front of Ridley trying to get a block for him, really ran out of bounds on the sideline. But, I mean, it was like Etienne, like, full speed came up the sideline to try to block for him. So they believe in Ridley.
Yeah.
They believe in each other. And Sunshine had a decent game. So the Jaguars are still a team to be reckoned with, and I agree with Matt from our last week's show that they're a dark horse contender for Super Bowl out of the AFC.
Yeah, Lawrence, second year under Super Bowl champ Doug Peterson. A little slow start, had that early turnover in that game, but as Jason mentioned, they turned it on. He found some guys. Ridley, obviously his number one option. They got weapons on offense. Jaguars get the win. What do you think about Jacksonville in that debut here?
Oh, Jacksonville, I thought was great.
Yep.
I think the odd man out in all this was Christian Kirk. He was the odd man out.
I'm a Christian Kirk shareholder, so I didn't like to see that yesterday.
Did not like to see that. I think he's the odd man out. I really do. I think that they really seem to like Zay Jones. They were really feeding him, and then Evan Ingram, of course, already fits that dynamic of what they like to do.
I like Evan Ingram.
just real quick about the Colts. I do agree with you on Anthony Richardson. I thought he fed Pittman better than I thought he could.
That Pittman, man. Whew.
Yeah, Pittman had a great game.
Didn't expect that.
Colts, go pick up Kareem Hunt right now.
They have to. I mean,
'Cause this-
Evan Hull goes down.
Deion Jackson ain't going to do it, bro.
And they lost
Like-
Evan Hull, their backup running back. They're short in depth there.
Yeah, go pick up Kareem Hunt.
Or
Uh,
Leonard Fournette. I prefer Kareem Hunt. I'm with you. One of those two. You got to add
Yeah.
somebody. They got to do something.
Somebody got to be on that roster.
Because I don't think they can afford to get a Jonathan Taylor. Jonathan Taylor's going to cost too much for them. I think they're not going to keep him. I think they're going to try to trade him, which is why I don't think they'll keep him. But yeah, on the cheap, go sign Kareem Hunt. It's be better for you because what they got right now, I don't see it.
Closing words, Jaguars, Colts. Anything else stand out to you there?
I like Anthony Richardson.
Me too,
In this,
as always.
in that system.
Yeah.
Shane Steichen, man, I'll tell you, he knows how to run a mobile quarterback like that in that offense. with Jalen Hurts and so on.
They're going to be a tough out the whole year. I mean, they're going to play everyone like that, unsurprisingly. So we'll see.
Yeah, we will. We'll keep it moving. Jaguars 1-0. Colts looked a lot better than I thought in their first game here against the defending division champs. Now let's go to the one that kind of shocked the world yesterday, or at least the nation. The Buccaneers, led by Baker Mayfield, former #1 overall pick for Dennis Pritchard's Tampa Bay Bucks. And they go on the road to take on the 13-4 NFC North Division champs in a game where they had one of the biggest lines of the afternoon. Minnesota 5.5-point favorites there. But Baker Mayfield didn't care. Stuck that flag right in the center up at Minneapolis there against the Vikings, guys. 20-17, Matt. This one, we all took the Vikings in this one.
Who did? I didn't.
You didn't take the Vikings
I
in
did
the
not take.
Bucks?
I didn't take the Vikings on this
See,
game.
that's how you get it. We had the show right here last week, and I thought this was so lopsided. I thought everybody took him. Jason, of course, had a fantastic week one. He did not. Baker showed up. Tell us why you picked him, and did you see what you thought you would see?
Yeah, no Dalvin Cook, no nothing on that team because he covers a lot of the weaknesses of other players.
Yeah, that's exactly what you said.
And you saw Justin Jefferson frustrated.
Second half, 2 catches, 12 yards.
But again, Kirk Cousins is a fancy stat pattern. I mean, he threw for what?
He did, wow.
He threw for like 294 in the first
Matt's
half.
just chomping at the
344.
bit to get into the Kirk Cousins
He
talk
threw
right
for 294 in the first half with like no touchdowns. Like,
Yeah, it was-
you got it. Man, you know what? I'm gonna alley-oop this to you. Talk about your boy.
Captain Mid.
Give him the solo camera shot, Dennis.
Listen, man. I know people like to have Captain Mid as a top 10 guy. They like to talk about it. Listen. This is why I can't trust him. This is a game against Baker. I can't throw in the run Mayfield.
He can't.
And you not only had an interception, you had 2 fumbles. You looked like Mr. Bean out there. It was bad, man. I don't even know what game he was playing. It's between him and Lieutenant Mid Ryan Tannehill for the worst quarterback
that's
play I
close.
saw. It was bad. And like, look, I know people don't like to hear this, but he's making $35 million. He takes up 15% of their total cap. You can't get this kind of performance. There's a reason why they were 12-4 last year. 13-4. And nobody picked them to go to the Super Bowl.
People
no
had him
one
out
talked
first
about
round.
them as
That's right. You're
contenders.
right. That's true.
No
And
one.
it's
No
because
way.
of Captain Mid. Stop at me. Yeah, that's it. You like that? Stop at me.
We don't like that.
That's a great graphic.
Stop atting me on Facebook. Stop trying to act like this guy's a good
The Vikings
quarterback.
fans slide in your DMs, man.
No, he ain't like that. He's not natty, man. Get him out of here, bro. I'm done with this guy, man. It's bad. Look, just what we said last week. No Dalvin Cook. You're gonna see this more from that man. Mark my words.
Madison, 3.1 yards per carry, I think 30 yards rushing. Jason was right there. No Dalvin Cook, no run game. It led to Captain Mid trying to do a little too much, turn the ball over. And Baker Mayfield in the Bucks. Methodical offense. They go down and score a couple times. That's all it took. Bucks get the win there. Jason with another right call. We'll keep it moving with one of the uglier games and lead Matt to another alley-oop here between the Titans and the Saints. Talk about ugly. My eyes almost bled watching this one there. Jamal Williams gets the start at running back for the Saints. No Kendre Miller. He's out with a knee injury. No Alvin Kamara. He's suspended. Thank goodness for Chris Olave. He looked good yesterday with Derek Carr. Rashid Shaheed, a big playmaker as well in that Saints offense. Guys, I thought Derek Carr looked okay. I honestly thought he would look a little bit better, but it's his first game with New Orleans. Tennessee looked exactly as I thought. Derrick Henry is all they got over there in Tennessee. Strong run defense, but everybody knows you can beat them through the air. That happened yesterday, but a great game nonetheless, Jason. Saints, easiest schedule in the league this year. They were one of the teams we talked about for taking home that NFC South Division Championship. Thoughts on that ugly 16-15 game out in Louisiana?
No, it was ugly. 16-15, exactly what it was. I don't know what to make of Tennessee. I don't understand their moves the last 2-3 years. You're in win now mode, but you're also tanking at the same time. I really don't understand. You're wasting Derrick Henry's prime. You sign a past prime person in DeAndre Hopkins. You could have kept Julio for all that when you had him there.
Could have kept A.J. Brown.
Could have kept A.J. Brown, but then you draft a person who was a similar skill set to him, but still not him.
Speaking of Treylon Burks, anybody have a stat line on him? Did he give it a go yesterday?
He had 3 catches for 18 yards.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
I mean, I don't understand what they're doing in Tennessee, and Mike Vrabel isn't Bill Belichick. I don't care how much the coaching tree and all that. It's not.
You can't do it.
That's not happening. So Tennessee has to make a decision really soon because Tannehill is not.
Yeah, he had his run.
Tannehill is not your quarterback, and the
over
offense looks better, as we saw all preseason long, when you have Malik Willis in the game. It's faster. The players
Just to change something
the
up.
players have a little bit more oomph on the field when he's in the game. They know he can win with his legs, and he won't throw the ball away as much as Tannehill does. It's just a different dynamic. So I think they're going to have to switch Willis by like week 4, week 5.
And again, we think about Tannehill, right? They brought him in when they thought they were just a quarterback away. They had the great defense. They had Derrick.
Why would you bring him
Henry.
in when you quarterback away? That's not the person you bring in when you quarterback away.
Well, I'm saying this, a couple years ago when they ended up beating the Ravens in the playoffs.
That doesn't matter.
I'm just saying that team was already loaded up at that point. Like, you're past that now. The team's no good. Tannehill's definitely not the answer.
Derrick Henry beat us, not Tannehill.
Well, that's what. Well, you're right there. I'm just saying Tannehill has no business, I think, being the starter for the Tennessee Titans. You're just getting nothing from it right now. Your team's not going to the playoffs. Like, why start an average guy like Ryan Tannehill with no benefit? You're not going to compete. Like you said, he's average. It just doesn't make sense to get you have 2 young quarterbacks in that quarterback room. Let one of those guys have a shot.
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, if you're just battling for where you're going to draft next year, I don't know why you have Tannehill in there. Just
Well, maybe they don't think
Willis.
like we're thinking. You think they have a shot? I mean, you usually do at the beginning of the year, but come on.
The problem with Tannehill was, if we're being honest, he came in, he benefited greatly off Derrick Henry's pass action that he gave him.
And they had a good offensive line back when he first got
there. They did. And what you see now is, they get film. They started to see you're only good when Derrick Henry has X amount of runs, and then you do the play action. Gotcha. So that's the kind of the problem. I mean, he had a couple balls where he threw to the tight end, whose name escapes me.
Okonkwo?
Say it again?
Okonkwo?
Gold star for you. I couldn't say the guy's name.
I don't know his first name. Don't
Life.
answer you say his first
But
name.
there was a couple plays on there where the guy was wide open, and Tannehill either overthrew him or underthrew him. It was so bad, and it was just like, bro, why are we watching this?
And again, to go back to the point that Matt was making a few years ago, it was one thing when Derrick Henry was obviously the star of that offense. Everything ran through him. And you had that play action where he had success. He had home run hitter. He had A.J. Brown and some other guys that could hit that home run. They don't have that anymore. No. So his passing stats were all padded from A.J. Brown catching a 10-yard slant and taking it 80 yards for a touchdown. That's not an option anymore. Treylon Burks obviously isn't going to step in and do that.
Can we move on?
Yeah, we got to move on. We're running out of time. We got to go Cardinals, Commanders here very quickly. Yeah. Commanders, a little bit of hype, I guess I should say. I was kind of eager to see Sam Howell because I did not like him at all at UNC. I didn't like him come out of college, but he got a lot of hype in the preseason. People really were excited to see him. I thought he did not look good at all yesterday. They got a 20-16 win over the worst team in the league. Dobbs and the Cardinals got out early on a team that I thought the Commanders were going to run away with this one. I really did. They did not. Just really quickly, thoughts on the Commanders Cardinals.
They barely got this win.
Yeah.
They did not cover the spread. The line was 7.
Oh, I know.
So yeah, you cost me money.
I don't want to say
yesterday.
Come on, Eric Bieniemy and Sam Howell. Again, I only need to see one game, and maybe he'll get better. Sam Howell, the answer with the Commanders.
No, but I do like what I saw from Brian Robinson Jr. running the ball.
Yeah, He needs to be the number one back
That's a
going
fact.
forward.
Yeah, and I think he will. So we'll see what happens with the Commanders. Hopefully they improve if you're a Commanders fan going forward. Cardinals, nothing to even talk about there. They're going to be bad the rest of the year.
Yes.
Let's jump quickly to your Baltimore Ravens. I want to hear your thoughts here. 10-point favorites. They cover, get a big win at home over the
Yes.
Texans and a rookie quarterback in C.J. Stroud. All the talk was the new offense with Todd Monken, and then all the talk today is how bad the Ravens offense looked, etc. Your thoughts on Lamar Jackson, the Pumas? Still got a 25-9 win.
Rusty, game one. As I told someone on this set before we got here, down two linemen and lost outside running back during the game.
Oh, and again, thoughts to Dobbins, 20
And
Achilles.
no Mark Andrews on Sunday. So
And no Isaiah Likely either from what I saw.
They covered the spread, which was 10.5, and he won by
He
16.
did. They did.
Lamar was just rusty week one because Zay Flowers
New offense, too.
Zay Flowers looked pretty good.
He looked
on the
like
field.
that joystick, like they call him joystick. He looked
And,
like it.
and a couple of passes that Odell did catch were of a good variety. So I think it's more indication of losing the linemen and honestly, penalties. If anyone watched the whole game, penalties. That game should have been like 45 to 3. It was penalties that made the game look really ugly. It was a very sloppy game. I'm not going to sit here and act like it wasn't. It was a sloppy game, but it was more so penalties and injuries than anything else.
You're right about that. 22 total penalties in this game, 13 for the Ravens for over 100 yards. Matt, quickly, thoughts on Baltimore?
I mean, I think Baltimore played the perfect team. I think Texans.
Matt's smiling. He's been ready to have this conversation.
Texans
We had spent a
were
little more time.
the perfect solution for them because they would have lost this game against a good team. This was a bad team that they played.
Agreed.
Let me just say this, and look, Zay Flowers is special. I really like what I saw from him. I think all this talk about Lamar needing weapons, I think he got one in Zay Flowers for the first time, like a legit Ginsu knife. I think that kid's really going to be really good. Back to Lamar Jackson, though. Listen, and I'm not saying this because I'm
Watch your
trying.
mouth.
I'm not saying this
Watch
because I
your
want the
mouth.
smoke, but I do want the smoke.
Watch your mouth.
Because people came out this year and told me that Lamar has this ability, that it was Greg Roman, that this is why the offense is done this way, and this it's not indicative of Lamar Jackson's playing ability. It's indicative on the offense that Greg Roman was running. So everybody kept told me this for 3+ years. What I'm seeing from Lamar Jackson, we're gonna be honest. Let's tell the truth.
Tell the truth.
It looked like the same offense
No,
to
it
me.
didn't.
It looked like the same
No, it
offense.
didn't.
Now people can sit there and say it's different. The only difference was Zay Flowers. That was the difference. I ain't see much difference. Now look, people could tell me, and look, before y'all make excuses for the injury of Dobbins, look, bro, Dobbins always been injured, bro. This man's injury rate is 100% year in and year out, and I'm joking, and at the same time, look, I'm sorry that happened to him. It's terrible. I don't wish that on anybody.
As a fan, we know he's injured every season.
Yeah, I'm worried for his career.
I'm about to say,
long-term.
quickly before we go on,
Yeah.
is it over for J.K.? That's 3 years in a row.
I don't think it's over, but he's not going to get any money.
Yeah, I think he's going to have to now sign with the team on a low contract and hope he can work his way up the depth chart and get a chance.
I'll say this about the you'll see what we're made of next week when we go to Cincinnati.
Oh, we're looking ahead already. There we go.
Cincinnati.
And again, hopefully we're
What did you say?
Houston.
On to Cincinnati.
That's right. Honestly, let's see what happens. Another one, though, quickly, we got to talk about the Eagles because similar situation. Offense didn't maybe look as good as we would have hoped there. They got out 16-0 and kind of held on for that victory. Late offense looked a little bit questionable there. Didn't get any action in the preseason. That was kind of the talk from Nick Sirianni after, saying he may change his thoughts on playing them a little more in the preseason. You guys think that's an issue? Do you think they should play more, or did it affect them at all?
I think all teams should play their first team offenses more in the preseason.
Absolutely agree, Matt.
I'm just
Totally agree, and I'm worried about the Eagles' running game.
that.
Yeah.
I'm
That.
worried about it.
Now,
That.
to me, and we talked about the loss of Miles Sanders, but I thought the drop-off from Sanders to the guys they brought in wasn't huge. To me, the difference yesterday was I think the offensive line didn't look maybe as good as we want to be one of the top 5. They were fantastic last year, top 2 for offensive line. I thought that the Patriots were getting a great push up front. That Bill Belichick defense looked good, and you're right, they made them earn every yard. I think it was a tough matchup on the road. This is what we talked about last week. I thought it was going to be tough. I said the Eagles would cover, but I think it would be really close. That's exactly what happened, but you worried about the Eagles? I'm not worried about them. I think it's just a little rust, just like you said about the Ravens.
I'm not worried at all about the Eagles. It's more indication of how good New England's
Yeah, I agree with you. That's
defense actually
exactly
is.
how I feel.
But to be really one catch away from losing to Mac Jones.
Mac Jones.
Mac who?
On Tom Brady Day, too.
Y'all had him looking like Tom Brady.
What did I say last week? I said the issue was on the back end. They got 2 new safeties coming in.
Your back is going to be suspect all year long.
It's going to be suspect. I said Edmonds can't play. I said he shouldn't even be out there.
Our teams have the same problem. Our back end's going to be the problem all year. And we just lost Marcus Williams for maybe most of the season.
And that's what people were getting pointed to last year. Last year, you had Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. He was an all-pro safety for them last year. He's in Detroit. Looked good on Thursday night, by the way. Yeah. But they're going to need help on the back end of that defense. Mac Jones throwing for that much. That's going to be a problem. We'll see how that does for the Eagles going forward. They do escape with a win there in Foxborough. Quickly now, Packers and the Bears. Packers go to Chicago and lay it on the Bears. They were saying this is going to be the year that Justin Fields gets that win over the Packers, and it's all done. The Packers' ownership over Chicago would be over. Jordan Love comes in, throws 3 touchdowns, and gives them work. Blew them out of the water early, Matt, in that one. I know you were a Jordan Love fan, I believe, coming into this.
Yep.
Your thoughts on his first start and the way the Packers looked?
He looked good, and he looks like that's what happens when you have a competent organization that knows what they're doing and knows how to roster build. Chicago, look, people are going to say whatever they want to say, but if you watch that game, they're literally Justin Fields, I think, dipped and dodged about 6 different sack attempts that would
Offensive line is putrid.
It's putrid,
bad,
right?
man. We knew that coming in. We were wondering how big of a problem would it be, and it is still as big as a problem as it's always been here the last couple of years for Chicago. Your thoughts on Justin Fields? They looked horrible.
I'm still sticking with what I said about the Bears and the NFC North. However, the Packers own them. This is clear. This is similar to the Browns and the Bengals. Yeah. So there's a new deed, quick claim deed. State of Wisconsin. Grantor, Aaron Rodgers. Grantee, Jordan Love. On this date, 9/10/2023, Grantor agreed to transfer the ownership of the Chicago Bears and to have and to hold unto said grantee its successors and assigns forever. Signed, Aaron Rodgers, Grantee, Jordan Love, number 10.
It said he signed it right over. Nothing changes, right?
Nothing changes.
We're going to move on. Aaron Jones looked fantastic yesterday.
Yes, very well.
Pulled that hamstring on that last touchdown run. He's questionable for this week. Did not practice today. It was only walkthroughs. But keep an eye on Aaron Jones going forward.
Zaire Alexander shut down.
I love Jair.
Everyone on the wide receiving core for the Bengals. For the Bears yesterday.
DJ Moore, they bring him in 2 targets. That's an issue. Yes. That's something they got to figure out. 2 targets for DJ Moore in that game. We thought the offense would change. He finally has a weapon. They look the exact same as they look. Nothing changed from last year.
It was Jair Alexander. Jair Alexander's in that top 3 shutdown corner conversation in the game.
Raiders and the Broncos. Sean Payton, a lot of talk this offseason. He comes in trying to change that culture in Denver with Russell Wilson. Nothing changes in week 1. It was a good game, a little ugly, but the Raiders and Jimmy Garoppolo get a 17-16 win on the road at the Denver Broncos at Mile High. An AFC West matchup here. Matt, anything stand out to you from the Raiders and Broncos? I thought Russell Wilson looked a little better than last year because he can't look any worse than what we saw last year out of Russell Wilson. But again, nothing stood out to me that said they're going to be a lot different or a lot better offensively this year.
No, just 2 mid quarterbacks battling. That's about it.
The mid matchup of the week, potentially?
Wow, the fact that Russell Wilson's mid now, that's saying a lot.
It is,
crazy.
Man. Super Bowl champ, 2-time Super Bowl appearance, 2-time NFC
He's not mid in
champ.
real life, though.
Now that he's winning in
Winning.
life.
He's
He's a winner off the field.
Off the field, he's a winner.
But no, the Broncos are poop. There's no way they're poop. Sean Payton's poop. I mean, they're poop. This was a toilet bowl game. Like, they're poop.
It was bad. We got to move on. There's really nothing else to say here. Hopefully, I don't think we have to worry about any of those 2 teams making the playoffs there in the NFC West.
No, we don't.
But again, it's a long season. Who knows? Maybe we'll be wrong. Dolphins and the Chargers, best game of yesterday.
Oh, yeah.
In my opinion, it was a shootout between Justin Herbert and, man, I'll tell you, Tua Tagovailoa. We spent some time talking about him. Can he stay healthy? I'll tell you what, man, he looked fantastic again yesterday. Led the NFL in quarterback rating last year. Would it be a fluke? Well, he stayed healthy. And the games that he stayed healthy last year, they were fantastic, just like this one. Threw for 466 yards, 3 touchdowns. Does have one of the best receivers of the last however many years in Tyreek Hill, who had 215 and 2 scores. Chargers offense is good. Again, to me, the difference to me was Brandon Staley. I think he's absolutely a terrible coach. I think he needs to go. I don't understand how he still has a job. Some of those decisions that he made in that first half and then late in this ball game, they're puzzling. And the Dolphins came out with a big 36-34 win. I thought it was a lot of fun, Jason. Dolphins offense looks Fast and good.
Shout out Tyreek Hill. I got you in my fantasy, my number
Cheetah.
one pick. The Cheetah. Thank you, good brother. But no, this was the best game of the day. If you love offense. But at the same time, I do think this might be an AFC Championship preview.
Could be.
It could be. With
If
the way
Brandon
these two
Staley
teams
gets
are built.
fired, you mean they get somebody else in there?
I mean, I think Herbert can. Well,
I'm with you though. I'm a big Herbert. I got
But
Herbert.
but no, I think this was really a great game of two young, good quarterbacks in this league. Obviously, the added weight that Tua put on in the offseason held up so far. And the Dolphins have a great offense, but I'm afraid for their defense.
And that's a team that we talked
I'm
about that
afraid.
defense. They added some of those additions. We thought they were going to be much improved.
You
Didn't
can't win every game like this.
I mean, again, Chargers do have a good offense. It was
But
in
you
LA.
can't win every game like this.
You're right. They can't. But I think Matt, if they have a chance, they might be able to with that offense. What do you think?
I think Tyreek Hill is going to have a special
2,000 yards. You going to break the record this year?
He might.
He said he was going to. before the
He
season.
might.
Because of the way this league is now, pass happy, he breaks that. He
Breaks the Calvin Johnson's record.
He gets 2,000 this year. He gets 2,000.
I'm calling Cheetah 2K if he's
Cheetah
able
2K.
to do
He
that.
gets 2,000.
Thoughts on the Chargers here, quick? What do you think of that Chargers team?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'm impressed with the team. I think Eckler and Herbert are really good. I think they really have to find better cohesion with their wideouts. I mean, Keenan Allen, he's been very good, but, I mean, look.
As Mike Williams said, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
He got hurt again yesterday. He's
got
hit or
hurt.
miss. So we'll see if he stays healthy. Quentin Johnson, the rookie, only involved in a few targets in that game yesterday as well. Donald Parham and Gerald Everett had a pretty good game for the tight end position there for LA. And I got to quickly, before we get into the Cowboys-Giants, which won't take long before we wrap up the show today, I owe an apology to the Los Angeles Rams after guaranteeing the Seattle Seahawks would run through them on Sunday with that defense and everything else. I again have to apologize to all the Rams fans out there. This one has me a little messed up after this one. The Seahawks got absolutely bludgeoned by a no-name team in the LA Rams who did have Matthew Stafford, but not a lot of anything else. If you look at some of the rosters here, Tutu Atwell and the Puka Nacua, who was fantastic with his 15 targets yesterday. A rookie, Puka Nacua, 6th-round pick at a BYU, led them in targets. Tutu Atwell led them in receptions. I don't know how the Rams did it. I really don't. I don't want to spend a lot of time on this, but a 30-13 win. Seattle and Geno did not look good in that opener.
Oh, my God. That's how I did it. He was scared of Aaron Donald.
I mean, it was bad. I mean, what do you have to say about this one? So you worried about Seattle? They were a top 10 power-ranked team coming in.
No, this was lack of discipline from the Seahawks the entire
in Seattle
game. It was lack of discipline because there's no way you lose at home to this team with that roster. There's lack of discipline, and you got DK still doing DK stuff.
Got in the end zone early. It's good for fantasy.
But the mental makeup of DK. He's I hate to say it, but he's giving me AB vibes,
oh,
man.
No.
Oh, he's giving me his behavior is giving me AB vibes. I mean, God doesn't eat food. He eats candy and donuts and drinks coffee. He doesn't even have a real diet. But
Shout out Lamar.
his makeup, his mental makeup. Somebody needs to get in his he needs to have a life coach.
We'll see. I mean, again, they dropped that one, and we'll see if it gets better for them. They had high expectations coming in. Rams go in there and just take them out early to start week. One of the biggest surprises, but not as big as Sunday Night Football last night. No. When the Cowboys and the Giants, an NFC East matchup that, again, people were expecting a close line. Cowboys 2.5-point favorites. That wasn't the result. They go into MetLife and beat the Giants in an absolute walloping, 40-0. It was just foot on the gas from early, and they didn't take it off till late. Defense was one of the best performances we've seen in a while. Giants, Matt, last game against the Eagles was the last game they played in the playoffs. 38-7 they lose. Then they come in here and start off this one 40-0. That's 78-7 in the last two games for the New York Giants. But high expectations, and Coach of the Year Brian Daboll.
Yeah.
I don't know. Cowboys look pretty good. Is it more about the Cowboys or the Giants?
It's more about the Giants. I mean, let's be honest. We all sat on the set when we were doing our previews, and I had said that Daniel Jones is not going to have the success on the ground that he experienced last year. Because the tape's out. So guys know now, we got to make sure we cover. He still got 40 yards, but he got
and
2
0
fumbles.
points.
And he had 2 fumbles, and he got sacked 7 times. So listen, it's – look, I hate that Saquon Barkley's in this predicament where he's on a team that he really can't get loose. That O-line –
they got absolutely destroyed.
I'm not going to say
yesterday.
It's definitely a bottom 5 O-line right now. It does not look good. The Cowboys, and I want to say this too about the Cowboys. as much as we like to pick on Dak Prescott, look, he's on a team, he's winning, whether we like it or not. I saw some unfair commentary about him this morning where it's like, does he have his excuses done for him if he don't do anything this year? I mean, look, if Tony Pollard's still running the way he's been running, I think Dallas is going to be a tough team this year, and they have a solid defense, so they have a shot.
Eagles, Niners, and Cowboys going to be tough in the NFC, I think, coming down the stretch. Thoughts on last night's beating?
I think Dallas has the #1 defense in the league. That's just
fantasy deep.
what I mean. They've been top 5 the last 3 or 4 years now, but I think this year they might take claim to #1 defense in the entire league, and 40-0. That's a point for each $1 million that Daniel Jones is going to make this season. He's making $40 million this year.
Well, they can't get any of that back. They signed him again. They signed Jones before they signed Saquon. They locked Jones up first, so they didn't have enough money left.
They beat the New York State of Mind out the Giants last night.
Well, now that takes us back to the New York State here tonight at MetLife, right back in the same stadium. Just 24 hours later, it'll be the New York Jets welcoming in the Buffalo Bills here in our Monday Night Football matchup. A great one to kick off Monday Night Football here in week number 1. We saw what happened to the Giants last night at MetLife. Jets are back at MetLife tonight. Are they going to have a similar fate here against the defending AFC East champs, a team that you're not as high on, Jason? You're a Jets guy in this season. You roll with the Jets tonight?
Hell yes, I'm going with the Jets tonight.
Underdogs getting 2.5 points.
The Buffalo Bills, they are not that team. I was watching NFL Live earlier today, and there was an interesting conversation between Ryan Clark and DeMarcus Spears. And with RG3. So it was mentioned by RG3 that the Buffalo Bills are pretty much turning into the new age Cowboys, meaning that they have all the hype every year and have nothing to show for it. And when you think about it, the window's closed on the Buffalo Bills.
A couple years now.
There's been like 3 or 4 years where they're supposed to be that top team, and and next step, I don't see it.
You had a great week 1, so we'll see if you can keep that rolling tonight. You're going with the Jets getting those 2.5 points.
Listen,
the money line. You're on the money line.
I'm thinking of
Jets to win outright.
Jets to win outright. So, with tonight, right? Here's the thing: they're playing at MetLife. It's the Jets. It's September 11th.
Yeah, I'm with you.
The NFL script is not going to allow the Jets to lose tonight. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'd say again, there's going to be some stuff in the air. It's going to be an emotional night at MetLife today, again, September 11th. I'm going to go with here for the Jets, Bills. Again, I've been on the Bills. I think the Bills are going to win the division. But tonight, I'm rolling with the Jets, too, with that defense. I think it's going to be a really close game. Give me the Jets by 3. I still think the Bills win the division this year. And I'm going to give me Garrett Wilson for anytime touchdown today. That's going to be my bet for the game tonight. Garrett Wilson, anytime touchdown. Matt?
I'm going Jets.
Wow, we're 3 on the Jets.
Yeah,
And I'm getting this 50-50. I'm just going to lean Jets tonight.
I'm just going to say this. I have to stick with the Jets because this has been kind of the reason why I think they struggle this year. I think Jets, the Bills are in trouble this year. I think it's more trouble than people like to admit.
You got the Jets winning the AFC East, correct? And you went with the Dolphins? Or did you go Jets and Dolphins?
Yeah.
Dolphins? Both go Jets or Dolphins?
Both Jets.
Both Jets.
Yeah.
Ooh, I don't know, Dolphins. That's going to be a tough division out there.
Definitely a tough
in the
division.
AFC East. Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. This one tonight is going to be a lot of fun here between the Bills and the Jets. Kickoff's just about less than a half hour away. So that'll do it for us here, wrapping up week 1. We talked a little USA basketball. Enjoy Monday Night Football tonight. We're all on the Jets. We'll see what happens. Maybe we'll see you on Thursday ahead of Thursday night, Eagles and the Vikings. But that'll do it for us here this week, or at least on a Monday night. So for Jason, Matt, myself, and Dennis back behind, whose Bucks are 1-0. All our teams 1-0 here after week 1. We'll see you next week.